Welcome back, y'all. What's happening out there in WBB land? We are back with another video, and this is a 13-part series that will chronicle every team's 2025 offseason. Each video will detail every team's current roster, their salary cap and assets, as well as look at free agent targets, needs, and an overall trajectory for the upcoming 2025 WNBA season. Without further ado, let's get it popping. The Seattle Storm was always going to be one of the more interesting storylines headed into the 2025 season after coming off what can only be described as an extremely tumultuous 2024. While the squad managed to finish with a respectable 25-15 overall record, the trouble was clearly brewing just below the surface. After a quick first-round exit, allegations of player misconduct and locker room rifts came surging to light. Eventually, the team was cleared of any wrongdoing, but the damage was most certainly done. Of course, I'm talking about the Gold Mamba, Jewel Lloyd, leaving the Pacific Northwest for the Las Vegas desert. Battle lines were drawn in the sand, and in the end, management went with head coach Noelle Quinn, Skylar Diggins, and Nneka Ogwumike. Lloyd was not the only departure, however. Sammy Whitcomb, Mercedes Russell also hit the Interstate South for Phoenix and Los Angeles, respectively. But before we get into what this roster is going to look like on opening night, part of the reason I find Seattle so fascinating is because I do believe this is a make or break year for Quinn and her superstars. After how last season ended, all the turmoil, and drafting Dominique Malunga, there are no more excuses. But the question I want to answer in this video is, will this bloated cap sheet and some what I think are clear deficiencies derail them, or will they prove me wrong? Firstly, let's do some financial housekeeping on this cap sheet. I know you can see $315,000 available, but this does not include any rookie deals or training camp contracts. Let's start by adding the second overall picks contract, Dominique Malunga, to the books. We see that $315,000 move down to $236,000. Then we add Lee Uru's $66,000 training cap contract, and it takes us down to $170K. Finally, let's add this Erica Wheeler contract on board, $78,000 more, and you're looking at 10 rostered players with only $91,000 left to spend. Now, this might not be as terrible a situation if the Katie Lou Samuelson injury didn't just occur, where the team will not only be without her all season, they are on the hook for the $90K they had her under contract for. This is a long-winded way of saying that the Seattle Storm will only be able to carry 10 healthy roster players this season. Not exactly what you want headed into what I called a make-or-break year, with an extended 44-game schedule and a new CBA looming. Before we get into what I see as the season outlook, let's take a look at these last three players I believe this final roster spot comes down to. From left to right, we have 2025 third-round draft pick Serena Sundell, 6'2", passing point guard out of K-State. Then we have the former first-round selection of the LA Sparks, Zia Cook. She had a regression last year in LA, but honestly, Kurt Miller never really gave her a shot. She is a scoring point guard. And finally, we have former IU standout and 2024 draft selection Mackenzie Holmes, an undersized forward, but has yet been healthy enough to see action. To be clear, I think all three of these players will eventually find homes in the expanded WNBA, but as far as Seattle, I foresee them keeping Sundell as she gives them some size and versatility at that point guard position, as well as a 4-year contract, which, headed into a new CBA, is a good asset to have the rights to. Let's add her $66,000 deal to the cap, and we have what I believe will be the final Seattle Storm 2025 roster. 10 healthy players with $25,000 left to spare. While projecting forward to the 2025 season, I am much lower on this Seattle roster than most people are, not only because of the lacking overall depth. The big knock that I think will be virtually impossible to overcome is the absolute lack of any perimeter shooting. Seattle was dead last in 2024, shooting an absolutely horrendous 28% for deep, and their two most capable three-point threats are no longer there. Katie Lou Samuelson might have added some, but without her, you literally only have one player on the roster in Lexi Brown that has any type of dependable range. And honestly, when you speak of Brown, as much as we hope she is 100% healthy, she's only played 28 games since 2022. I just don't think, as much as I like their size, as much as I like their post, this team offensively is just far too one-dimensional to compete with the likes of the Liberty, Lynx, Aces, and Fever. One thing they certainly do have going for them is an outstanding defense. I do project their defense to be top 3 in the league, which will keep them competitive. Even still, I think they will struggle to be a top 5 or even 6 seed come the playoffs, because I project this to be the worst shooting team in the league by a wide margin, both from an attempts and percentage perspective. If you always have to trade 2s for 3s, you're going to lose a lot of games. If I want to be super generous, come playoff time, when it becomes a more half-court, grinded out, possession-by-possession game, I do think this could be an advantage to their style and scheme. But at the end of the day, I just don't think they have the overall depth and the requisite shooting to be considered real contenders. That's why I'm stamping the Seattle Storm pretenders in 2025. But as always, I pass the question to you. How far do you think the Seattle Storm roster can go in 2025? Do you make them contenders or pretenders? And do you think Noel Quinn makes it past this season as the head coach? Let me know in the comments. And as always, like, share, and hey, hit that subscribe button. It's free.